Have you ever wondered why one US dollar is worth less than one British pound? Or way less than one Kuwaiti dinar? If the dollar is the most powerful currency in the world, shouldn't it be the most expensive too? Here's why this question actually matters, especially if you're learning about the money market or global investing. Understanding how exchange rates work helps you see the bigger picture. Not just how much money is worth, but why it's worth. It helps you understand currency risk, global trade, and how investors move money between countries. And it stops you from making beginner mistakes, like thinking a higher exchange rate means a stronger economy. Or have you ever wondered why the Japanese yen and Chinese yuan have low exchange rates? Even though Japan and China are two of the biggest economies in the world, they build your phones, your cars, your laptops, and they export trillions of dollars in goods. And yet, their currencies are technically weaker than those of some much smaller countries. It's a question that confuses a lot of people, especially when you're just starting to learn about money and exchange rates. Today, we're going to break it down simply. No finance degree required. By the end of this video, you'll understand why some currencies have a higher value per unit than others, what makes the US dollar the global powerhouse, and why a higher currency value doesn't always mean a richer country. Let's clear up the confusion. Welcome to Profit Compass. Let's break it down with a simple example you can picture. Imagine two restaurants. At one, a burger costs $3. At the other, a slice of pizza costs £1. Is the pizza better? Or is that restaurant richer? Of course not. They just use different price tags. Currencies work the same way. Right now, one British pound is worth about 1.27 US dollars. But one US dollar is worth about 140 Japanese yen and about 7 Chinese yuan. Does that mean Japan or China is poorer, or the UK is richer? Even though the dollar isn't worth more per unit, it's still the most powerful currency on Earth. Why? Because it's everywhere. Over 80% of global trade uses the dollar. Countries keep trillions of dollars in their reserves. Oil, gold, and huge international deals are almost always priced in dollars. It's the global default currency. So the dollar is not the biggest in price, but it's the most important. You might wonder, why do Japan and China keep their currencies at such low values? Because it helps them sell goods around the world. If the Japanese yen or Chinese yuan were stronger, their cars, electronics, and clothes would be more expensive for buyers overseas. That would make them less competitive. A weaker currency makes exports cheaper, creating jobs and helping the economy grow. That's why countries often manage their currency to stay competitive, even if it means a lower number. The British pound is an old trusted currency. Britain has a long history of global trade and financial markets. They don't need a low number to compete the way export-heavy countries like Japan or China do. Instead, the pound stays pricier, partly because of how the UK manages its money, with a focus on stability and trust. That's why it's worth more per unit than the dollar, even though the US economy is bigger. Let's talk about what would actually cause the pound to drop in value compared to the dollar. If the UK economy slows down, businesses struggle, unemployment rises, and spending falls, investors lose confidence in the British economy. And when that happens, they stop buying pounds. They move their money into safer places like the US. Less demand for the pound or lower value. This happened after the 2008 financial crisis, and even during COVID, the pound dropped sharply compared to the dollar. After both crises, the UK eventually recovered. Businesses reopened, consumers started spending again. Unemployment dropped. The Bank of England stopped emergency measures. As the economy regained strength, investors started feeling confident in the UK again, and they moved money back into British assets. That increased demand for the pound, and that's what lifted its value. So people trust the pound, yes, but not more than the dollar. They just see it as a stable, strong local currency, while the dollar is the global currency of choice. If you're an American visiting London, your dollar might not stretch as far. A coffee could cost more than you expect. But if you're a British tourist visiting New York, your pounds will go further. And if you're sending money to or from countries with different currencies, exchange rates can make a huge difference. Understanding these basics helps you make better choices, whether you're traveling, investing, or sending money home. Quick facts to remember. The British pound is one of the oldest currencies, over 1,200 years old. The US dollar is the most widely used currency worldwide. The Japanese yen is the third most traded currency globally. The Chinese yuan is growing fast in global use, especially in Asia and trade deals. Exchange rates don't tell the full story about a country's wealth or economy. So next time someone says, the pound is worth more than the dollar, it's not about who's richer. You'll know exactly what that means, and what it doesn't. It's about history, trade, and global trust. So, what's the currency where you live? And what surprises you about it? If you found this helpful, hit like, subscribe, and let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching.